Director.
Gladiators ready?
Good morning still. I was gonna say good afternoon. It's 11:26. 11:20 something. 11:32. We are starting this brown bag meeting this Tuesday, October 4th. We're going to start with invocation and pledges.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
Mr. Roger Campos will lead us in both.
Thank you. We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Campos.
Thank you, Roger. Do we have any public comments? Anyone signed up?
We do not.
No? Okay. Well, before we go into items of information, number 4, let's take a quick break, get our lunch, and come back to our seats. Thank you.
We call that a timeout?
Time out.
I'm out.
Get in the corner. Okay, time in. We'll begin with item A, FFAC local policy discussion. Who's got this one?
Yes, sir, this is going to be Ms. Frances Barcelona, and this is what we see as a escalating societal issue that's going on nationally, statewide, locally, and so we wanted to be prepared in the event any of these ill-advised issues came into our district, and so we wanted to look at our policy. We originally wanted to create a FFAC local policy, but as Ms. Barson has reviewed it, we can cover this item with a reg, and so she's going to go over that, what we're talking about in FFAC. That is it's a health policy and how we do the distribution of different types of prescription drugs and other drugs in our district. And so Frances is going to cover what the issue is and why we are looking to build a reg around this policy and provide that information to you guys today.
So you have a copy in front of you of our FFAC legal. And thank you, sir. After reviewing our legal, if you look on page 4, we already have permission through legal, which means it went through the state, to administer an opioid antigen. Some of you may have referred to it as naloxone or Narcan. People have heard about it in the news. They've seen it in other communities. So what we were asking for was the right to have it stored here in case somewhere out in the community it was needed, because it's a time-sensitive element. We already have permission in both our legal and local to administer other life-saving medications such as epinephrine and asthma medication. These are unassigned. These are things that we hold on campus in case those are needed. And so we would ask the same thing. But instead of bringing it to our local, since it's already in our legal policy, we're asking to just go ahead and create an admin reg for the training, distribution, storage, and ordering of this product to make sure that everybody that is on site in our community, our police officers, our health services personnel would have access to it, but also have the training necessary. FFAC Legal also provides immunity as long as we serve in good faith and we are trained to be able to administer that. So we don't think that we need to create another policy on top of that, but we want to make sure that we are prepared. Southwest likes to be prepared for any action, and this would be a precursor to that, to ensure that all of our people would know the signs and symptoms to look for and maybe save a life.
Okay.
Would the distribution of the medication centralized, or would it be located at every campus?
So right now, what we have discussed is bringing a committee together because we want to make sure that we have it in all different areas because our community is very widespread. We're looking at police officers having it like most law enforcement agencies. We've also looked into probably about 20 other districts who've either looked into it or already have some type of policy in effect in their district. And then also making sure there's one on site at campuses and places that are open late night, so that in case something happens, we're prepared, just like we would for epinephrine, for an allergy or anything else. It's just a precaution to make sure we have medication available to be used in case of an emergency.
So it's getting closer and closer. We know there's been some really drastic issues, particularly further north. But these things are getting around, they're making them look like candy, and so we're contending with really addressing the vaping that's going on, not only in our district, but in most districts. And we want to have a contingency plan in the event that any of these drugs make it into our district, and that we have a student or staff and maybe internal that we have the means to mitigate that and then the assistance of just another layer of safety that we want to add into our ranks. We thought we needed a policy, we do not, so we're going to do it through the range format, and we'll bring that back to the board.
And I hear that there's no liability, but what if there's a liability for misdiagnosis and we administer some kind of Narcan or something to that where it increases the heart rate, causes them to go into a cardiac arrest for a misdiagnosis? Are we okay to be not liable for a misdiagnosis?
So that's the good faith policy, and so we have decided to bring in professional trainers to allow anybody who has access to it to understand exactly what to look for and to potentially not misdiagnose that. Instead of just other districts, they watch a video and then they distribute it. I know the Surgeon General, we read an article that said every American should carry it because they could save a life. We're actually going to go through full training with certified trainers to ensure everybody who has access to it is fully vested and trained. But our policy, FFAC legal, does give immunity, and so I believe that's on page 14.
I think it specifically addresses under the Good Samaritan law. Folks who are making their conscientious effort to help someone that needs Were there any questions on that? We didn't think any of our trustees would have any issue with adding another layer of safety, and so we definitely went from you guys first.
Thank you.
We started the process of getting those into our district. There's like a 30 days.
It's about 30 days to receive. And they're free. They will not cost the district anything. It's to receive that unassigned medication.
That's it with that item, sir.
Okay. Annual update on HB3 goals.
Yes, sir, we have, I want to say, Belinda Garcia is having training today. So we have 18 joining us. We have Ms. Zoya Brazos and Lisa Volpe. Next week, Zoya's going to take on the House Bill 3 goals. And this is a continuation from when HB3 was passed in 2019 that we have to set goals under it. And so we've had the pandemic lay on top of that, and coming out of the pandemic, what did our scores look like, where are we, and reference our goals, and how do we move forward into this school year with those goals in mind. So I'll let Zoya come go through that part today.
Thank you, Dr. Verstep. Good morning, Mr. Board President. Good morning, board members, Dr. Verstep and senior staff. So House Bill 3 was a school finance bill that was passed in 2019. With this bill, it was very huge, and so it came with a lot of additional funding to be able to support different initiatives across Texas. Some of those include Texas classrooms, increase for teacher compensation, and a few other things. The HB3 goals that we are going to be reviewing today have to do with school board goals that had to be created and prioritized. and those were presented to you as well, with the focus being on learning and improving student outcomes, mainly in reading, math, and CCMR. So in 2019, we were asked to create these board goals, bring them to you all with your approval for 5 years. And so our goal is to get to 2024 and then continue there. So when we look at the early literacy and math proficiency and the goals that we have set for there, HB3 has asked that we create annual performance goals for each campus for 5 years. So in addition to the district goals that were created, we also asked the campuses to create their individual goals as well. And so once you click on the link here, it will take us directly to our data. And I'm gonna go ahead and cover the elementary House Bill 3 goals for reading and for math. So if you look here in 2019, we said that the percent of third grade students that score meets grade level or above on STAR reading would increase from 36% to 50% by June of 2024. And so when we look at our year 2020, we had set a goal at 38%. Of course, with COVID and not taking the STAR test, we did not have any data. So then going into 2021, we set a goal at 41%. We were still coming back. That was the first time some of our kids tested. Some of our kids did not get to test. And so that we came in at 34% as a district. Moving on to year 2022, we set a goal of 44%. We didn't adjust anything. We were a little scared with COVID, but we decided we're gonna keep aiming high and we're gonna keep going with our original set goal. And we came in at a 42%. So slowly but surely, we are making our gains, and we feel confident that hopefully by the end of June of 2024, we should be able to get to our 50% goal. And so as you'll see here, you'll also be able to see how the campuses came in. And so if you look at Big Country, you know, they have, came in at 29, 57 for the following year. So making some big gains, you'll see. And of course, you can go down. And we also have the data here that also includes the closing the gaps by student groups and their special populations. And so you'll also be able to see our goals that we set for African Americans, Hispanics, white, Asian, special ed, English learners, which are now our emergent bilinguals. And so those are the goals for the reading. And when you look at the goals for math, we said in 2019 that the percent of third grade students that scored meets grade level or above on STAR Math would increase from 42% to 50%. And so we have encountered just a few dips with the math, but we do have some plans in place to make sure that we are targeting those. And so again, 2020, we did not have any data, but in 2021, our goal was set at 47%, which was a hefty goal. Again, we decided we were not going to revise the goal. We were not going to bring it down. We're not going to change it. We did come in at a 22%. That was the first year testing again, and again, some kids did not get to take the assessment, and then some of them it was their first time coming back into the classroom. Going now to 2022, our most recent data, we had set a goal of 50%, and we came in at 35%. So again, you'll be able to see here how the campuses have also set their individual goals based off the district goals that we have established. And then if you scroll down to the bottom as well, you'll be able to see the closing the gaps goals that we have set for our special populations. And then I will go ahead and transfer it over to Ms. Lisa Bolte, who's gonna go ahead and cover the CCMR goals for secondary.
All right.
Can you just touch a little bit, Maya, on the needs versus approaches, how we're setting a little bit up to really encourage rigor? Because that percent doesn't show what we passed, you know.
Correct. And so if you know the approaches, well, Lisa will probably be better explaining what the approaches versus the meets.
So approaches is a student level where they are passing, but they're not at grade level yet. In meets, they are truly at grade level. And so that is the bar that the Texas Education Agency wants us to achieve. They're looking at 60% of our students being at the meets level. That is their ultimate goal and what we design these goals around. That's why it's at the meets level, not the approaches.
Real quick, that percentage, how many kids are involved with that percentage that y'all are giving us? How many kids tested?
For third grade for
Yeah.
2022.
How many kids tested?
We have approximately 1,000 students per grade level.
But that's how many tested on the numbers y'all are showing us on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's every test.
80 to 100 per campus.
About, they were about for grade level.
Yeah. All right. So the other part of HB 3 is that we have to set college, career, and military readiness goals. So those are for, again, just like the third grade reading and math, it's set for the all group and then broken out by the different group, ethnic groups. And that data is sorry, technology issues, yeah.
You said me on the.
Sorry, technically.
Which
Yeah,
one?
that one, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
here?
This-
We were here. And so if you go back to,
Sorry. Okay, so we're looking at how we did with the class of 2022. When we get our A through F ratings, of course, it's a year behind, but we are always looking and making sure that as they graduate, that we are achieving the levels that they need. And so we have actually exceeded our goal for 2022, the class of 2022, at the district level and at each campus level. And as you scroll down, you'll also see it broken out by all the different groups. We have not adjusted the goals because the TEA is looking at revamping the accountability system, and the CCMR measures is one of the things that they are looking at making changes to. So we're going to keep our goals as is, as we adjust for these changes from coming down from the state. Any questions about CCMR?
so that was just our recap of the update we have to provide annually on the HB3 goals and the progress we've made.
No, the question I have is, with the goals, like you were talking about the goals being set for, a certain year, and then see how it goes from 50, and then it goes to, I guess, keeping those same goals aspects, and we're gaining ground every year. Is that the setting for TA, or are we allowed as a board to set the standard a little bit, so that way we can show that we're increasing, like, we know where we can get to and we can meet it. That's where I want to get to. Like, this is, instead of being at 50, can we meet it at 40, and then meet the 40, and then, okay, then we set it for 50. Is there ways to do that? So that way we can show that we have showing a bigger goal of 50, is it obtainable in 1 year? Probably not. But when you show an attainable goal of, you're at 38 and then you go to 40, do we as a board have to do that, or is it TA that does that?
No, we get to set our own goals based on the current data that we have. TEA has set a goal, which is a 60 by 30, and says that by the end of the year 2030, all students who graduate have to be at a certain percentage, or we have to be able to graduate a certain percentage of students with certain levels. And so that was the big picture in mind when we did that, but by all means, yes, we are able to come back and revise that, especially because, as Ms. Bolte mentioned, the accountability changing, also the STAR is about to change this year for reading language arts, and so with that in mind, the entire test is going to be revamped, and so that is something that TA does take into consideration, and so they do allow districts to be able to set those goals. So that's why annually we can come back and we can say, we're gonna change it, but ultimately the goal is that by 2024, so originally when these were set, we didn't know COVID was going to hit, I don't think we had yet, and so we figured there was gonna be a 2 to 3% increase per year for us to be able to set a healthy yet attainable goal.
We always try to set the goal. We always find out when you set a goal, you always want to hit, obviously, you want to hit it, but normally you hit right below it. And so the goal is where do you want to be in 5 years, then you come back incrementally and place it for every year to have an addition. So, yeah, we can change it. I would recommend that always leave that, we can make them all 100, but we know that's not realistic. So bringing the realistic side of the district and setting an expectation for annually every year, we think we can increase our meets and masters to this level. But short answer, yes, the board has the authority to set those goals. I think right now, coming out of the pandemic, and we talked about it with senior staff, it might be good to get a 2-3 year base of what it looks like coming back, and then reset, recalibrate. But by that time, we're probably gonna have a new system rolling out of TEA about the same volume as well. But yeah.
I would also
Thank
say
you.
that TEA, if your goal is too low, they will not accept it. We've done it for 10 years, Billy and I, through external funding, through Title I, so it's a negotiation. And because the system's changing, it's better to just change it one time than have to change it every year. So,
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Strong Foundations Framework Grant Award.
Correct. And so as part of the presentation that we just presented, part of that also talks about part of HB 3 talks about improving reading outcomes for students, and so it includes multiple reading initiatives. So it requires our districts to provide a phonics curriculum, and which we already have that in place. It also requires that each teacher and principal in grades K through 3 attend the reading academies. And we also have that in place. This is our final year by the end of 2023, and we will be providing the board with an update on the status of that for all our administrators at elementary, all our special ed teachers, any teachers that work directly with students, and especially in grades K through 3, regardless of whether they teach math or reading, have to attend the reading academy. So we will be providing the board with an update on that in November, in collaboration and in recognition of our partnership with Pre-K for SA. Because of the grant with Pre-K for SA, they have been able to fully fund that for us, and so we're very thankful for that. So in addition to that, we want to keep prioritizing reading and especially building those strong foundations in grades K through 2 and into 3rd grade. So part of this House Bill 3 included improving reading outcomes. Now, not directly connected to HB 3, but another separate grant that Southwest ISD did recently apply for, and I'm going to thank Ms. Barcenas again for assisting me with the submission of that grant. We did apply, very short turnaround notice, saw the grant was posted, applied for it, and it's a Strong Foundations Framework grant that was approved, and Southwest ISD was awarded $125,000 for us to be able to create and develop a literacy framework for the district. So there are some pilot districts across Texas who have already initiated this, and so they have presented out on this. They did that first year, and so we're going to get a lot of assistance with Ed Direction, which is an approved provider through TEA, who's also going to be working closely with us with forming committees and being able to establish this literacy framework for grades K through 3. Again, going back to HB 3 and ensuring that we have all students reading and on grade level by grade 3.
So,
Congratulations.
I'm sorry, no, that's okay. I have a question. Didn't we already have started the frameworks multiple years ago with the phonics and the reading? Is this gonna layer on it or replace it, or how is that?
So our hopes is that it will layer. We had started this work previously prior to COVID, and when COVID hit, it kind of, I don't wanna say fell through, but it was kind of like, how do you teach phonics over a camera, and how do you do all of these things, right? And also anticipating what that was gonna look like with our data once our students did take STAR in 3rd grade, but had missed 2nd grade and 1st grade and so forth.
Right.
And so we were very concerned about that. But yes, in continuation of the work that we have already done, one of the perks of this is that one of the approved providers is Ed Direction. Ed Direction is the one who's also doing the work with us with RSSP and through that grant. And so they assisted us in being able to build our instructional framework, which I'm sure has also been presented here. And so now in addition to that, they know for the past 3 years, all of the work that has been layered out of CNI. And so we were able to secure them as an approved provider as well to be able to help us develop this literacy framework.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Can you talk a little bit about the reading academy, the K3?
Correct. So this is year 3 of our reading academies, and so TEA does state that by the end of 2023, all of our teachers in grades K through 3, our administrators at elementary, and all special ed teachers. And just recently, they included pretty much, I believe because of the ESSER grant, that, you know, people, districts and campuses were able to hire tutors directly to work with students, they asked that all of these people take the reading academies. And so there was an initiative quite a few years back where teachers were able to take the reading academy. So some of them have this understanding of, oh, I took the reading academy 20 years ago. Well, it's not the same. They offer those every year. This is now a certification that actually goes onto your TEA certification, and it's going to be a requirement across the entire state of Texas. And so we have a partnership with Pre-K for SA, and through their grants, they prioritized and gave Southwest ISD so many seats per year. And so when we started this year one, I proposed that we kind of start from the top and the bottom. And what we did is we sent all third grade teachers and all kinder teachers. And then second year, we decided to send all second grade teachers and all first grade teachers. And so now that we're in year three, we're kind of just catching everybody up behind, you know, or you're a new third grade teacher, or you're a new kinder teacher, or you were moved from fifth to first, things like that, and any special ed teachers. Academic coaches are not required to get the reading academies, but because they don't directly work with students, but they work to support teachers in the classroom. And so we wanted to make sure that we gave them a spot as well. And so again, through that partnership with Pre-K for SA, we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 3 years to be able to do that for our teachers. And in addition to that, Mr. Chris and his department was also able to find funding through the ESSER grant to be able to stipend our teachers, because it is an additional 60 hours that they have to complete on their own time. But thankful to the district that we're providing them with an incentive, and we're providing them with the ability to not have to pay. There are other teachers who are having to go out and pay for this on their own, still do it on their own time, because it's a requirement of your certification. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you.
Man, we're moving right along here.
Roger, your email's up there?
Okay, item D, Board of Trustees joint election.
Southwest ISD election report, effects of voter suppression on voter turnout, May 2022.
Did you want to preface, or did you want to go right to the video?
No, we can go to it.
By Yolanda Garza Lopez and Pete Pedro Bernal, Southwest ISD School Board Trustees.
100% of Southwest ISD boundaries are within the city of San Antonio and Bexar County.
The Southwest ISD School Board, in 5-2 votes, continues to decide to go outside Southwest ISD boundaries and hold joint elections in the city of Lido, which is overwhelmingly in Atascosa County.
The joint elections with City of Lido places Southwest ISD School Board trustee elections on a separate ballot from the City of San Antonio and Bexar County. Consequently, Southwest ISD voters have to access two ballots in order to vote in our district, city, and county elections.
In the May 2022 elections, 2,825 Southwest ISD constituents voted in San Antonio and Bexar County. 770 Southwest ISD constituents voted in Southwest ISD. 348 Southwest ISD constituents voted in all three, and only 2 Southwest ISD constituents voted in the city of Lido.
Basically, 2,477 Southwest ISD constituents had their votes suppressed in order to accommodate 2 voters in the city of Lido, Atascosa County.
How does suppressing the vote of 2,477 Southwest ISD constituents adequately and conveniently serve the affected voters and facilitate the orderly conduct of the election, as per the Election Code Title 16, Chapter 271, Section 003B?
The Southwest ISD School Board says it believes in local control, but then votes to suppress the majority of Southwest ISD voters through exploiting the system.
Southwest ISD voters are told that if they really care about school board elections, they have to overcome barriers no other voters in Bexar County are expected to tolerate. The Southwest ISD School Board has the power to vote to include the Southwest ISD election in the Bexar County general election ballot.
So we just wanted to try and have a discussion. We created this video in order to update the effects of having joint elections with City of Lidle instead of Bexar County. To update that information, we have been doing that for the last couple of years. We've also expended a bit of energy in trying to inform and inform our constituents as to this fact so that they can try to go to the two sites and vote in our district elections as well. That has had limited success due to our limited platform. But this year, in the spirit of transparency, since Pete and I are up, and last time that we ran, we were on the Bexar County general election ballot. We wanted to let you all know that we're going to take a stronger stance in our position. And we're going to ask for a vote in this month for a general meeting. In the general meeting for this month, we're going to ask for a vote to see if we can get that established as soon as possible, so that any candidates that are thinking about running have the heads up and can, start to strategize. If the vote is delayed, like it has been in the last couple of years until January, we're gonna go ahead and release the video out into the community so that they can start informing themselves. In the past, we only put the video out more locally, like within the district. This time, we're going to look for additional platforms in order to inform the public. We felt that our platform just is too small and we don't have the reach. And so we're going to look for opportunities to increase the size of our platform, so more people are aware of, more Southwest ISD voters are aware of the challenges that they need to overcome in order to vote in our elections. We're also going to include 2 additional slides on that video. One will show the delay tactics that were employed in the last couple of years. And the other one is going to explain how this voter suppression is actually bipartisan. It's an issue that affects everyone, whether you live in the city, whether you're rural, whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. The suppression is happening to everyone. So we're going to include 2 slides in this video to explain that as well. Last year, we were asked by a couple of reporters if we wanted to be interviewed on this matter, and we declined. As school board members, we declined. This year, as candidates, we will accept interviews as we see fit to try to explain our position to the greater community. And we have also received offers of assistance from several lawyers and judges that are aware of our situation. We're also going to consider accepting assistance from people that can help us, again, spread the information, spread the word, and get information out, and possibly also even look at some legal potential legal resolution to this. And we're, Pete and I are committed to this. We're not going to walk away from it. And, we're never gonna walk away from it, and we're not gonna give up. And I think that us operating within the system places some guardrails around, what we do and how we do it. And even if we're not in the system, even if we end up outside of the system, we will continue to fight this fight until all voters in our community have equal access to the ballot box, and they are all treated equally. And this entire community gets to weigh in on its representative voice in Southwest ISD. And that's all I have to say. Invite any discussion.
Anyone have any questions?
I just would like just to say one thing, that the way we run the election does not break any laws.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
I have one comment.
Okay.
My comment is going to be, in foregoing and running in this next election, I'm really asking y'all to please give me the chance to run in a very ethical way where it doesn't violate my integrity. I feel that integrity is in check for me to even run in this caliber of not in giving all access to all the constituency, especially in a level where we can exceed the results that any campaign has ever happened. So I feel that that's just one thing that we need to look at. It's becoming it's not a political dilemma, it's more of a social dilemma. A social dilemma is where we're making inclusion of all our voters to be able to have a chance to vote and access the polling site that they're regularly going to, which is, I would say Johnson Library or Cortez Library or even Palo Alto. Those three places can give equal access to our voters to obtain the right to vote for our elections. And when we don't use those sites, we're putting a barrier in front of these constituents and not having to say, or not knowing where to go vote. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Any other? Hearing none, do you have one more thing? Other than the-
We passed out after site, and I know everyone can go through it one more thing. I know there's a lot of activities that are going on, a lot of fine arts that are happening throughout the district. I know we have Mazla convention coming up this weekend as well. Mr. Vasquez. I don't know which board members are attending, so if you are attending, it's just let either Mona or I know, so we can make sure we have that down. The Fire and Armor Bowl, not till November, and so homecoming at Legacy is this Friday. I'd like to invite everyone there. Fire and Armor Bowl, we plan to do something special in the press box that night, and so we're working with Creel on that. But that's all I want to say.
We do have a fundraiser coming up on the 21st, the Golf Club of Texas. Those that, I know some of us participate, but those others, if you'd like to show up in the morning and say hello to everyone, or at lunch, probably let Mr. Garcia know so he could have an extra plate, extra taco. 21st.
Yes, if you want to show up for lunch, if you can
Yeah.
come about 1 o'clock, that'd be great.
Yeah.
What is it, the what?
Southwest
yeah.
Education Foundation Golf Tournament.
Okay.
Golf over Texas.
On that, anybody else have one more thing? Hearing none, am I looking at this correct? 12:19.